Hey everyone, I just want to take a moment and just say thank you for all of the support and to everybody who keeps reaching out to us. It has been so much fun to see how helpful these podcasts, these YouTubes, everything has been for you all. It's just my goal is just to continue to provide value to you each and every day. And again, just make sure that you guys are hitting your goals and learning every single time you listen to us. Thank you to all of the kind messages of the people who are getting interviews, people landing jobs. We've been able to actually, last week, we got 7 people hired within 24 hours. In the course. So it has been an absolute massive week for us. We got multiple people hired at full line reps, over 150K with no experience. We had one of our girls, she had been in the course for 3 weeks. Shout out to you, Skylar. She got 4 job offers in 3 weeks for full line rep roles, which were all north of 150. Again, it is possible. She had no clinical or sales experience. So just want to let you guys know it is so much fun to watch you all absolutely crush it when you know how to play the game. But today we are diving into part 2 with Miss Sarah Stengel. Hopefully you guys can go back and watch part 1 if you haven't. It was an absolute great episode. We got a lot of great feedback for it. Now going into part 2 with her. As you see, the whole time we were together, we did almost a 2-hour podcast because we just love going in, talking about the industry, talking about our experiences, and just being able to help you all. And so hopefully you can really see that. It was so good. We had to break it up into 2 parts. And so really excited for part 2. Let's get into part 2 with Miss Sarah Stengel. But where I want to really transition, because this is the big thing I want to talk to people about, is what you kind of said, and we haven't gone into much detail about this, is the W-2 life to a 1099 and going into a distributorship. Because like you said, what's a distributorship? Is it good? Is it bad? We get this all the time, and we help our people with contracts and all this stuff. Because why distributorships get a bad rap is, I, Jacob, can start a distributorship. I can go pick up some products and I hire Sarah and I'm like, here's products, good luck, go. And now that's the only way they make money. They don't get any training. They don't get any stuff. Now the only way you make money is if you actually just go sell.
Right.
But if you're not giving the success keys, like how to actually go do it, what's the training look like, what's the products, what are you going through it, how much are you doing onboarding with, like all these different things. And then they talk about percentages. What's the percentage? What are you getting of that? Like there's so much that goes into it. But why I want to just touch on this is because when we've talked about 20 or 23-year-olds making 20 grand a month, you know where they do it at? Distributorships. Each distributorship's going to run it different. Some are going to have quotas, but some aren't. You know, some might be like, hey, it's no quota. You just eat what you kill. But I want to just give a little knowledge to everybody, whether they are reps in the industry, because some of them are working at a J&J, Stryker, all this stuff, and they don't even know about this. But it's like, you can go work at a distributorship and eat what you kill. And if you're super hungry and motivated, like that was my thing. I went to the startup, but I literally told Elliot and Jordan, I was like, I don't want you guys to pay me unless I actually make money for you. Because I feel bad.
Right.
but then he would always like make me, he's like, dude, we know you're not going to get it right away, but we know you'll return, which I return the investment.
Right.
Eventually. But the reason I'm just saying that is like, that's how I've always been wired. I'm only going to get what I actually produce. Many of the people I have listened to this podcast will be like, no, I need a salary and I need a guarantee and all this stuff. And I'm like, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. But don't sit here and tell me you want to make $30,000 a month.
Right. Yeah.
And do that. And so I just want to, can you kind of just shed why you went from W-2? Because you worked at a Stryker, a Wright Medical who was acquired by Stryker, a Boston Side, the biggest companies in the world, to then be like, hey, I'm going to go to a distributorship, which let me just make this real clear. Most people, when they hear distributorships, you will never know the name of the distributorship. But then this is why I always laugh is like, I would rather work at Joe Schmo's med device company and make 50 grand a month than work at a med device company to make 150K a year. That's known. But many people that are listening and thinking about med device sales is, I need to work at Stryker or Medtronic or Johnson & Johnson so I can go tell my friends or other people that are in the industry. The last thing I'll say, and then I'll turn it over to you, is like, you know, the only people who actually cared that I worked at Medtronic, the people at Medtronic or the people trying to get into Medtronic. Right. Nobody else even knew about Medtronic. Here we're talking about med device sales. It's all this stuff. Most of you guys didn't even know about medical device sales till 5 days ago.
Right.
Right. It's like, we don't even know about it. The only other person who ever knew about Medtronic when I was in the industry were 2 other people. My CPA, because she's like, oh, good job. And she had seen stuff. And people who had pacemakers from them. That's it. Everybody else, I'm like, I'm in med device sales. They're like, what's that? So the reason I'm just sitting here telling you guys that is if you come in with the ego, that's what gets a lot of people stuck. It's why they can't climb. It's why they don't drive. And they just want to like live this stuff so they can tell other people. But there are so many other opportunities and avenues in med device sales where it's like going back to, I have met guys in distributorships where they're not trying to like crush it, but they're like, dude, I work under 25 hours a week and I'm making $250 a year. And I'm like, no,
Sounds pretty good.
That don't suck. You know what I mean? So can you kind of just share your story of like, and just your experience on why'd you go from a med device, like W-2 big company to like hey, I'm going to go the distributorship route?
Yeah. I mean, I think I felt like the rug was kind of pulled out from underneath me when I was W-2 at a med device company. Acquisitions happen, layoffs happen. Your fate isn't controlled by you, right? You're working like a dog to meet quota. The benefits of it, right? You have health insurance. They're paying for, you either get a car or they're paying for your gas.
All the safe stuff,
right? That's fantastic.
Yep.
And if that's where you need to go to get in the door and wet your palate, get your feet wet, start building relationships, do it. It's wonderful, right? I'm never going to talk shit about a W-2 corporate med device company. There's a lot more financial freedom that comes from a distributorship, but there's a lot more risk.
Right? Come on. But this, let me just say this real quick. That's anything in life.
Right.
More money,
100%.
More risk, more money, more problems, right? Like but let me just make sure everyone hears this. Why do entrepreneurs make way more money than everyone else in the world?
They take way more.
They took the jump to do it, and they never knew if they were going to make a dollar to do it.
It's so easy to look back and be like, oh, well, they're super successful. You don't see the that they have to go through to get to where it's always, everybody's so blinded by, oh, look at the car they drive, or look at their house, or look at X, Y, and Z. It's like,
every time.
They didn't just, most people that are successful don't just get it. So instead of like having hard feelings towards them or be a troll or try to tear somebody down because you can't you just look yourself in the mirror, that's your problem. If you want to be like that, go humble yourself and go learn from somebody like that, right? Everybody just needs to stop being so horrible to each other, honestly.
Well, but it comes from where they're at, right? And they feel bad and all this stuff, and like,
But what I would suggest is distributorships are great. Again, I've just been very, very, very blessed with my whole path that I've had in this industry. The owners of my distributorship, typically they don't pay base salaries. The fact that I got $5,000 a month was a blessing. They did reimburse my gas. Most don't. They reimbursed lunches and dinners that I did. Most don't. Right. So I took the jump to a distributorship, but it was also a little bit of a safe jump too. Right. Because I knew with the base, I knew I had enough to pay rent, you had take care of myself.
Your base living.
Right. And they took care of the rest. It was kind of like a W-2 in a distributorship. So if you're I think there's two things if you can find a distributor that runs their business like that. I would almost say just start there. Don't even go the W-2 route.
No, exactly.
They're paying you enough for you to live comfortably. And they're taking care of, that's what costs the most. The gas, cold calling, driving around, the amount of lunches and dinners that you do. When you only have $5,000 coming in, you can't really afford to do that. And all these med device companies, pharmaceutical companies have kind of screwed the distributor in the sense that, hey, I'm going to go schedule a lunch to meet with this provider. Okay, great. We have 20 people that you need to feed. And now that's $350. It's like, so you can't even get a meeting unless you feed the whole office.
Exactly.
Right. So it's like, if you can find a distributor that's willing to do what my distributors did for me, screw W-2 and just go right in, right? Get ready to work. But go right in. Sometimes they'll even take interns. We've got an intern right now. I think he's a junior or senior at ASU. He's in the office on his off time. He's asking to take me out to lunch so that he can learn from me. He's doing ride-alongs with the OR reps. He's starting to cover cases on his own.
Crazy how successful that kid's going to be. Right.
And he's setting himself up fantastic. If you can't find a distributorship that doesn't reimburse like that, it's hard to, we've talked about this, is don't just take the first position that becomes available, right?
Exactly.
You need to think a couple steps ahead, right? If you're interviewing for 2 positions, right? One territory manager, you don't really vibe with, he's not super happy about them bringing on an associate versus a territory manager like my first territory manager that I had. If that job paid a little less money than this one, I'm taking this one all day long.
Yep.
It's not going to serve me immediately. I'm not going to have I think my comp at Boston for an associate was $90K. So it was like 45 base, 45 performance, which is a very healthy associate comp plan. I would have taken 65 if it was setting me up for a better future.
Exactly.
Than the 90.
We talk about this all the time. It's learn to earn.
Yeah.
Right. So many people, when they first come in the industry, it's like, oh, I have to make this money. Now I'll sit here and tell you, like a lot of our people, we just got a 22-year-old. She signed the day before she actually walked across the stage for graduation. Her base is $70K with a 10K commission. Right. And then we got a relocation package, which we post on LinkedIn, all this stuff. Right. But the reason I'm sitting here telling you is you're 100% right. So most people are telling me, I need to make this. And it's like, great. But what about if you went and learned for a year or two from people who actually care about you? Because then you can go and make the money in your career. Because everyone tells me they want to make this career, but then they're like, I have to have this first year, right? And they have to have their dream job first job. It's like, well, it could take a year or 2 or 3 years and get you there, but that's your career. Set yourself up. But the one other thing I wanted to state on that is so many people, when they're just trying to break in the industry, it's like, oh, I'm married to a Medtronic or a J&J or a Stryker or whatever company, name whatever company, but they marry it. But they don't actually get the vibe of it. They don't actually see it because your team is what makes everything. Your team and your territory is your company. Who cares? You could have literally the best product in the world, but if your team stinks, you're not going to last a year. It'll be miserable the whole time. And so it's like, we talk about this with our people all the time. It's know your worth, right? I always make the joke, like the Jacob train has left the station. So every one of my students, I talk to them like, the Sharon train has left the station. Know that. Because when these companies want you, they will show you they want you. It's no different than dating. Like my favorite ones is when we know we did really well and all the stuff is, hey, we got another offer. Regional managers call them, please don't take the offer. HR is a little behind. Like we want you. Like they're begging our people as we have multiple offers not to do it. Compared to like, then we'll have others that like, we know they're not a top choice. And it's like, they'll ghost for a week and they'll be like, all right, you still want the job? And it's like, all right, let's bring it back to dating.
Right.
Would you want the person who's like, hey, I'll see you next week, and then doesn't ever talk to you? And they'll be like, yeah, I think I'm still into you. Or you want the person who's like open communication, telling you, they validate like, hey, this is what we want. And it's just showing effort. So I just wanted to like state that because you're 100% right. And then also wanted to touch on the W-2 that has a base and all that, and the ones that commission. Here's the thing. These are like a needle in a haystack. And I say this, but once you find them, they're amazing. They are out there. You just have to be willing to look. Right. And you have to go with it compared to the ones that are just like, yeah, come work for us. And they'll do 1 or 2 interviews and it's not the same. It's not. But I put that forewarning out there. It was like, just talk to a kid. Did 2 interviews. They offered him a job. The non-compete was 13 pages. The contract was half a page. Which
non-competes don't even have any merit anymore now.
Yeah, they just so you all know, if you didn't know that.
That's kind of a big thing.
Yeah, non-competes don't mean anything. It is the Wild West. People go everywhere. But no, the reason I'm just sitting here saying that is like, they had 13 pages on non-competes and then half a page on the contract for the person to sign. So I was like, where's the territory? Right. What's the training look like? That's what we help with to make sure it's an actual good fit.
Right.
Because then they're like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, ask them this, ask them that. But like, there's that. But like you said, there's more risk, more reward. There's all this stuff. But last thing I want to say, and I'll switch back over to you, is like, again, W-2 guys, I worked at W-2s. Loved it. If I went on my own again, I'd go 1099 and do my own stuff. Like I say this all the time. But the reason I'm just saying that, there's never a right or wrong answer. It's just where you're at. Some people want more safe. Some people want more risk. Like I will just sit here and say, I had a guy come to our program the other day with that new to medical device sales meetup. Scrub tech. Decided to go work for a distributorship. Has been hustling. There was no guarantee, but just had his first $10,000 month. Like you're not getting that if you go work at an associate job at Stryker where they're trying to pay you $55K. And you're going to go I just talked to someone who did trauma, $55K. They're working all the time and they get $55K. This person went on a distributorship selling very similar things, putting in the same time. But the only difference is this person now made $10K. But understand, the first month almost made nothing. I think he was on a $2K base.
Yeah.
But he got the opportunity to go hustle and do the stuff. And then you can take the risk.
Well, he was probably smart. And this is kind of what I was going to say too. It's really hard. Obviously, you want to be selective, right? Yes. if you don't want to be on the clock 24/7, don't take a trauma role.
Preach it, girl.
Right? So it's hard to do, right? I mean, I didn't do this. If you ever asked me, like, literally when I was trying to break into this industry, I had a job opportunity to sell cannabis or be a men's health rep selling urinary sphincters and penile implants.
Mm-hmm.
Did I ever think I was going to be selling penile implants? No. Was my passion, I love urology and, I'm going to, do X, Y, and Z. No, I didn't even know it was a thing.
Yep.
Nobody has a crystal ball. But if you can find something you're interested in and passionate about, and you want a little bit of a more like risk-free model, go find an associate position calling on that specialty or whatever.
Yes.
Build your relationships on the W-2 dime, and then go start your own distributorship.
Yep.
But it's difficult too, right? Because not all industries you'll have that opportunity to create a distributorship in the specialty that you're calling on.
Or work for a distributorship, right? Like go work or create, but like you're 100% right. Because it's all relationship based, right? And then you can almost become like the Amazon if you would like to, or the whatever you would like, but you're 100% right. So that's what we talk to a lot of our students about is like, hey, let's go get the training and let's go learn and get paid to learn.
They're using you, so you use them, right?
Welcome to
let's just call it out for what it is.
One of our biggest sayings in our course, right? I've said it since day one in our course. They use you, you use them.
Have you really?
Right? Oh, I say it all the time, and I'll tell you why. Because I'm driving all the time, having no training, got ghosted from field sales trainer. I'm getting yelled at to go hit quota, all the stuff. I'm driving down to Tucson. I'm going 80 and I'm like, I'm working all the time. And I was like, if I went over and just went into the ditch and died, they'd refill me.
Right,
in 3 weeks later, they would refill me.
Right.
And so ever since that day, that was when it hit me. And I'm like, great. And that's what we teach people. And again, like, I just want you all to know, because like med device companies will watch this and all this stuff. It's not like, it is business.
Yeah.
Like for any CEO that would be like, that's uncalled for. You just made millions.
Billions.
Yeah. Like, this is why I just always laugh, because it's always like, it's the money hungry stuff, all these things. But it's like, yeah, we teach our team to do this because we've talked about it. If you stay at the same place 2 or 3 years on average, if you jumped every 2 to 3 years, you're gonna make 50% more in your lifetime. Why? Because you go competitive pay. Why? I've lived it. Went top performer. I've done it multiple times. Top performer, grew the territories from nothing to a lot. And then they go, what? Oh, we're going to double your quota. And then, oh, guess what? You'll make an extra $4,000 or we'll pay you no extra. Okay. So I'm going to do double the amount of work and you might give me a $4,000 raise. I can go sneeze and I'll go grab water bottles and sell water bottles on the side and make more than $4,000. Right. So like, that's the thing of like knowing your worth, going into it. It's not mean, but it's like, just understand it. But let me just sit here and tell you, that's when you believe in yourself enough to do that.
Right.
I knew, like, for example, when people are like, oh, 150, 200 grand, whatever, I'm like, okay, I'll just go do that. Literally today, I can go make 250.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Right. It's just knowing that worth in your stuff. But yeah, to your point, that's what we talk to our program about a lot of times. If you can get to a distributorship, get that opportunity, go, awesome. But a lot of times, go work at a big W-2, go big company that's going to pay for you, train you and do all this stuff. Because let me just make this real clear. You worked at a W-2, crushed it, made them $9 million, and then they didn't even give you a shot for a TM.
Yeah.
So like you went on your part, and that's what I always tell people. I always will get the return on investment for me. When someone pays me, I'm like, I'm going to make them their money back plus a lot more.
Right.
Once I do that, as long as it's a great place, I'll stay. Right. But like after I've returned the money, I've done what my job at the side was, and they did it to me. When I leave with all the companies I've ever left from, I can go and put my head on the pillow and be like, I did it.
Right.
I returned
exactly.
I returned my investment. It wasn't like I went there, screwed them, took their money and said, peace out. I went higher performer, delivered on them, did the best in the company for them. Number 1 at Medtronic on my team, number 8 in the nation, like Innovis top performer. Like I performed. I can leave and know that I gave it all.
Right.
And I don't got to stay another 20 years to know my value, that I'm good.
Yeah.
And that's, I want to share that to somebody, because I think that's a big piece to this.
Yeah, it's true. I think, and again, it just goes back to what's important to you, right? Yep. If you want to make $400,000 a year. You're not going to do it by staying typically at the same company. Now you can work your way up, right? Yep. Associate, TM, maybe work your way up to a regional manager, VP. Like you're either going to make more money by growing within the company.
Yes.
You're not going to make more money by being a sales rep at that same company for 20 years. You're just not anymore.
No, right? the only time I've seen it is when they've been there for like 15, 20 years.
It's all the old people that are still sales reps.
Yeah.
No offense.
And they just, oh no, it's 100% because they decided not to go be managers because they're like, I know I can work two things. I can work way less because I already have the relationships built that I know they're going to use me. So it doesn't actually, because I'll make less if I go be a regional manager. Or they're like, yeah, they have a relationship and it's like this, like you watch it, my 15-year vets, they'll have 1 year they made $600K.
And that's it.
Yeah, because they have the relationships that year it came and then they just use all the relationships and go. But then like we talk to them. I know people that are 50, 55, if they're still reps, they get pushed out because they know they're going to start paying insurance and they're going to do stuff. And like, oh, we can go get a younger person. We're paying you as a senior $285 and we can go hire somebody at $185, save $100,000. We're only going to lose this much on the business. And we actually know it's still a better profit move.
Right. But now that these non-competes are no longer.
It's going to be an interesting world. It's going
to be interesting, right? Because now you have the opportunity to use your experience.
And relationships.
These med device companies, that's what I was just going to say, they pay for your relationships, right? So if you're kind of getting screwed, you're a top performer, and then they increase your quota based. So if your quota's, let's just say $100,000, and you do $150,000, guess what they're basing your new quota on? $150,000. Right? And you're like, well, hang on, wait a second. How does that make any sense? So now what am I trying to say? They're using your growth success as your new benchmark to make them more money, which your commission is going to change, right? Because they're not paying you more to grow the territory more. No. So what you have to do is go leave that company and basically go to another competitive company and be like, hey, I can bring you X amount of business, but here's my number.
Yep.
And you'll get it.
And that's what I'm going to say. It's going to be interesting in the W-2 space.
Yeah, it's going to be super interesting.
Because it used to be that way already in the distributorship world. Right? Like I've watched distributorship worlds of like, I can bring you $500 or $1 million of business today. So they'll put a rep on first year, $400,000 salary.
Right.
And they're like, yeah. And then they know they're going to get transfer and then it goes commission after that, right? Like I've watched that in the distributor. I've never seen in the W-2 because like those big companies will come at you. Yeah. Like they have legal teams.
Oh yeah. So they're suing the shit out of you.
Yeah. They'll come sue you. So like, it's going to be interesting how this world plays out. So, but that is, again, these people are getting so much value. They didn't even know this world of med device sales existed.
might not be that bad.
Yeah. They're like, holy moly. But no, I absolutely love this. And the thing I really wanted to just dive in and end with is like, Sarah, you've had success, you've climbed this, and like, again, you guys, I know who's watching this is falling in love. Like you have so much variety to you, you're so knowledgeable at what you do, but like, what's your advice to like the people who are trying to break into the industry? And then I'll ask you what's the advice to like the people in the industry already? So let's start with, what's your advice to people trying to break into medical device sales?
Man, I think it's a fine balance of knowing your worth and what you can bring to the table, but also taking, again, that hard look in the mirror. I feel like nowadays society we can get things so easily and immediately. It's that immediate gratification that society now thrives off of, right? And I'm going to take this a little bit to another level, right? It's, you don't deserve nobody owes you anything.
Yep.
And you need to honestly, you need to know that you're not going to make it in this. You're not going to make it as a successful associate if you have an ego, right? When you're
the grunt
interviewing, you have to humble yourself and you have to, you have to be hungry to learn and know. You have to celebrate the fact that you're not the smartest person in the room. It's actually an incredible blessing for you to be the least experienced. I'm not going to say dumbest because that's harsh. The least experienced person in the room. That's a blessing. That's not a bad thing.
No.
Right? So you have to shift your mindset.
Come on.
I think.
Yes.
And, money is great, but it's really what's important to you for your long-term success.
Yes.
Listen to advice, right? You and I aren't sitting here because, we're trying to sound superior or anything like that. We genuinely want to help. I've screwed things up. Right?
We all have. That's why we give the experience. That's why we do this podcast even exist.
Right.
All the mistakes I've made and the people we've had.
So you don't make those.
Exactly.
Right? Don't prioritize your mental and physical health for money. Don't do it. Yep. It's not worth it.
Yep.
Right. So, humble yourself and be willing to absorb the knowledge. People don't always communicate the best, right? Yep. So don't let it rile you up.
And everyone's different.
Everyone's different.
I say K to you, you're like, all right. I say K to someone else, and they're like, huh.
My God, what did I do?
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's it. Work hard. Listen to advice and coaching from people that have been there.
Yeah.
And also just know your worth, because you're going to be told, you need experience, you need this, you need that.
Yep.
You get what you work for.
100%. And one thing I want to just add to that, because you're so right, please go listen to that again, you guys. But like the intangibles is what you said earlier. Yeah. And like, as somebody who gets people hired every single day with no sales experience, like I literally we're having conversations with med device companies, as I've talked to you about, and it's fun. And like one of the CEOs I talked to, I was like, yeah, I just got a 22-year-old hired with no experience. And she's like, what? This is CEO of a med device company. Yeah. And she's like, how'd you do that? And I'm like, we do it.
Right.
Because it's like, what I've just been able to continue to flip this industry and all the recruiting and all this stuff on its head is, who cares about your background? Who cares about whatever? My best people I watch are like the door-to-door salespeople who don't, that's D to B or D to D, not B to B. Like, those are the best. They've got cussed at, police called on them, yelled at, they hustled. Usually it's hot or it's rainy and stuff. And the grit, it's the things you can't teach. And as long as you're hungry, you're willing to be coachable. That's the biggest thing. Are you listening? Are you willing to work hard, and are you coachable?
Right.
Can you take the feedback? And like, understanding, guys, it's not always sunshine and rainbows. I think that's why they love athletes so much. You want to know what the number one thing that's guaranteed when you play sports is? You're not getting coddled.
Right.
Like, someone screws up, you get screamed at, and then you get put on the bench, or there's consequences for your actions. Right. Shocker.
Go run.
Yeah. Or it's like everybody on the line, and then guess what? You run, and then the person who made you get on the line, they're going to hear about it.
Right.
Right. And that's just life. And I think that's why I love it. The participation trophies can get thrown off the wall for all I care. But the reason I'm just sitting here saying that is that's why you and I get along so well, is coming from literally nothing and coming from like not everywhere. Like, I sit here and say this all the time. One of the biggest things I see is like when I see the people coming expecting, they've been coddled their whole life, all this stuff. I want this. And I'm like, you're just going to lose. That's why I want every single person that's listening to this right now, if you make under $50,000, if you came from nothing, if you had to put groceries back, if you did, you are going to win. You literally will just win if you just keep with it and keep growing and keep learning, because you have something that nobody can ever take from you. And it's the hustle. And it's why I sit here and tell you guys, like, I love it. Like we talked about this, but like I took her up to the roof and got to see where we're at now. It's like, I remember putting groceries back 6 years ago. And it's why whenever I meet anybody who has a name or all this stuff, like, you always be respectful. But that's why, like, hope you guys know, every time I meet a rep who's like, I got 15 years experience, and they try to tell me what to do, I'm like, I don't care if you have 100 years experience. I don't care. I'm where you're at in 3 years, and took you 15. Now there's ego to it. There's always going to be ego. We're in sales. Now, can you humble yourself and still learn? Because I'll sit here and tell you, you want to know why I've been able to get to where it took people 15 years and I did it under 3 for the last when I was there for 4 years? I always took feedback. I took every note. I took coachable. And then this is the biggest thing. You know how many people I know take notes and then they don't do anything with it? I actually put it into play. You want to know why we've been able to build multiple businesses? Because I listen to podcasts, I pay for coaches, I do this stuff, and then I implement. And then guess what happens? I screw up. And then I don't just die and be like, oh my God, I'm the worst rep ever, or whatever it is. Poor me. It's okay. Suck there. Let's get better tomorrow. And that's one thing when you said that earlier in the show, is like, it is the intangibles. It is that piece that you guys have to have a chip on your shoulder to know that you're meant for more. I don't care where you're at. Like, you have to know that this life can get better, because the only reason you guys are listening to this as a kid from small town Iowa, all this stuff, is like, I just kept believing, what if it does go right? When everyone else is focusing on what if it goes wrong.
Right.
They're on fear. What if it all goes right? What if it does happen? What if everything that you've dreamed about does go? Because you're sitting in the spot right now, you never thought you'd be here.
Yeah.
I never thought we'd be here talking beautiful place, being able to help others for free. Like, it's amazing. But then that's why we do what we do, is because I've learned the most with mentorships and going. I always say poor people will look at something and say, poor people and rich people, the difference between them is poor people will ask how much, rich people ask what's my investment. A poor person will never pay $1,000 because it's too much money. A rich person will happily pay 10 grand if they can make 10 grand. Once I realized that, and this is why I put this out there, hopefully this just changes someone's life by this saying. Once I realized that, it changed my whole life, because it's why I've paid thousands and thousands of dollars to get mentors who then just saved me years and years and years and money. Because what people don't understand is you're going to try to go figure it out on your own, and you're losing money every time you're not doing it. And you usually waste money trying something that didn't work, when I can just go talk to somebody and be like, do this. And they're like, no, I already tried it. And that's the one thing, like when you say the intangibles, that's one thing I'm huge on, is like, can you just be hardworking? Can you be coachable? Can you be like willing to be growth and actually be able to take the coaching and implement it?
Yeah.
If you can do those things, guys, I don't care if it's med device sales. I don't care what it is in your life. You will be extremely successful.
Right. And kind of too, this just came to me while you were talking, and it kind of leads into those in their first year.
Yeah.
It's all who you surround yourself with, right? You're talking about your mentors and everything like that. It's, you have to surround yourself with good people, right? Because it doesn't mean anything, right? If you're making $250 and you like hate the people that you're surrounded by or that you work for, and they just like suck the life out of you, no amount of money is worth it. Like dealing with that energy of those people, things like that, it's not worth it. You have to surround yourself with people who are uplifting, right? You know, aren't gonna, you know, there's value to be learned in screw ups. You're gonna screw up.
Guaranteed.
Right? You're
1,000%.
You're gonna screw up, just, you know, foot in your mouth, just terrible. You're gonna do something. You're gonna feel,
you're gonna get checked.
So small.
You're gonna mess up.
But there's always something to be learned in those moments. And you need to surround yourself with people that they're going to coach you and they're going to tell you you screwed up. But it's got to be from like a place of like, I'm just going to say love.
I'm
right?
just going to say like, they love you. They care about you.
Right. So it's like, I would rather ride through the desert in an Arizona day with the 2 or 3 people that are my ride or dies than, you know, be on a beach in paradise somewhere with 100 people. That's what I always say. I keep my circle really small, right? I'd rather have 4 quarters than 100 pennies, right? And you have to find...
clip that one.
You have to find your quarters.
Yeah. That is so good. And you're 100% right. When you say like love and the care, and it truly is. And that's what I like. That's what's been so cool about this and why I love giving these podcasts. Is like, we've just made a community of people, and know who doesn't like this? Not top performers.
Right.
Average ass people hate me. And one thing I just want to put this out there. I had a mentor teach me this. Define who your haters are. When you get any success, you do anything. Let me just sit here and tell you, if you're young in the industry and you're having more success, there's going to be reps that hate you and managers that hate you because you're doing more. I've had people call me and be like, oh, a manager's calling on you to check in how the guy with no experience is doing. I've had people be like, oh, this manager talked a lot of crap about you. And I'm like, I've never met them. Don't know who they are. But the thing I always say, and here's a little piece for you all for a little comeback, is I don't know their name, but they sure know mine.
Right.
But the reason I'm sitting here telling you, you have to define who your haters are, because if you want to do anything in this world and make an impact and have it, there's going to be people who hate you. And so like for me, I always sit here and say the people who do not like me and probably don't like us are people who are average, who don't want to get better, who just want to fly through life by the seam of their pants and wonder what if.
Which is fine if you want to do that, just don't be a dick about it.
Yeah, but that's it. But like then but that's what they do. They feel insecure and like they just won't put in the work and all this stuff. And so that's what I would just sit here and tell you is like, let me just sit here and say it is fun for me to sit here with you today. And it's like knowing that where you helped me get to and where we're at today together, it's like, oh, shocker, guys, like the people I continue to bring on this show every single week that we have are only top performers. And they're somehow my friends. Because what happens when you have other people, you align with them, you attract to them, you want that. And it's like what we always talk about is like, you said it right there, but I joke around being a kid from Iowa now. energy is everything. Energy is literally everything. And that's not me going all hippie or all this, but it's like, I truly will sit here and tell you, you want to know what's changed my life in the last 12 months, where I made more money, I had more happiness, I had more freedom, I had everything, is where I focus my time. Because if you focus on the negativity or the positivity, you'll get either one. Mm-hmm. If you focus on the positive, put you around people who tell you what can. That's what I love about my community and what we do at our program in New Medical Device Sales is all I sit there and tell our people is what they're worth and how much they can succeed. Why every single other person on the internet is telling them why they suck and why they won't ever get it. Why their parents, why their family members, why other people. You want to know why? Because I go through it.
Right.
I've been through it. My family can't understand when we're doing the success that we've had, and like, they just don't get it. So I'm sitting here telling you guys, it's why I do what I do. Right. I absolutely love it. Is like when you can just give back and just put hope into the world, put hope into just giving value. Because I'll sit here and tell you what we went into. There's been reps that have been in for 10, 15 years. They would never talk to you about this because they don't even know it.
Right.
It's when you just want to give back and you want to give value. That's what this is all about. And so that's why I would just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us and just be able to share with our listeners, because I know we're going to be able to chop this in a million different pieces and just be like, oh my gosh, we could make 18 podcasts just off of this one episode, because we went into so much detail, and it's just you being really good at what you do, being knowledgeable and just being open to sharing, because we all come from this place of abundance. Yeah. Because we know by these people winning, we're not losing.
Yeah.
We can all win.
Just I guess to wrap it up, I mean, you get what you put out, right? If you're one of those people that's poor me, or, you know, you're hating on the success of other people, like you're just going to keep receiving negativity and it's just going to fester.
And you're going to have a poor life because you're going to keep having crap that comes up because you're in that mindset and you attract it.
So you have to shift your mindset to love, positivity, you know, uplifting people, because guess what? If I'm having the worst day, what makes me feel the best is doing something nice for somebody else. And I know ultimately it's going to come back. Right. So it's like, if you're struggling or whatever you're going through, like, it's bigger than just breaking into med device.
Come on.
Right. Just treat people with respect. If somebody tells you you're not good enough or you're not going to break in, hey, thanks for the feedback. I appreciate it. Like, best of luck to you. And, you know, go where you're being steered.
Bam. And don't try to prove yourself. This is the biggest thing we talk about in our program. And you can attest to this, but it's the same thing in med device sales. Stop chasing for validation. I bring it back into dating all the time. You know what? Most people are in bad relationships, or they do it. They're searching validation. We live in a performance based. We're in sales, for God's sake, right? Like, this is performance based, right? But then we put our value in it. Right. And then we go through that process. And so that's one of the biggest things I teach people is like, you don't need to do that. Like, what I love about my program is it's maturity.
Yeah.
We're just maturing people, not for only med device sales, but for life. But what people don't understand is if you're not mature as a person and as life, you can't make $300,000.
Right.
Because you got a $50,000 mindset. You got to mature into that position. And so, like, that's my biggest thing for everybody listening is, don't try to prove people wrong, because what happens is, and let me just sit here, when somebody says you'll never break in, and then you try to argue with them, you ask for their advice first off. But second off, it's like, now you're not saying that because of all that. Think back. Why are you saying that? How many times have you been put down? How many people told you weren't good enough? How many, you dive deep into that thing. This is where the real talk goes. And that's a whole other podcast we could go. We won't even go into it, but I just want to share that for people is like, it's the validation of this. Just know you're enough. There's nothing else that you can do in your life to know that you're enough. But there is stuff for confidence, right? All I just tell people, everyone will say you're confident. And I always just say this, and I'm going to say it one more time. Confidence is just the promises you kept to yourself.
Ooh, I like that.
When you were tired and you told yourself you were going to read 10 pages, you read the 10 pages. When you told yourself you're going to wake up at 4:30, even though you wake up and you want to hit the snooze alarm, you get up. It's just doing it time and time over again, because that's why when I can sit here and say, Jacob, why are you so confident? Because for the last 7 years, I've kept every promise to myself. Now, I say every promise. Yeah, there's been times I skip and whatever it is. But like, I keep most promises to myself. When I say I'm going to do it, like yesterday, long day. But I told myself I had to do 4 things. Eric, my videographer, and I are on the phone for 38 minutes trying to figure out, because the platform we upload our podcast on is messed up. That wasn't in the plans, but guess what? It had to get done yesterday. So the reason I'm just sitting here telling you guys is like, when you tell yourself you want more confidence, if you struggle with self-confidence, you say you're going to go work out. You say you're going to go for a walk. You say you're going to read for a book. But why people are so unconfident, why I watch people who struggle with so many things, and it goes into the mental health and the physical activity and all this stuff, is they say they're going to do it and then they don't. I'm going to eat clean. Then they smash a burger from In-N-Out. I'm going to work out. They don't work out. I'm going to get 8 hours of sleep. They're up at 1 o'clock in the morning on their phone. It's the little things in life that are going to actually impact your day to day. And like Austin on our last podcast talked about, He says, work more on yourself than you do your job.
You have to love yourself.
Yep.
You have to. That's a harsh. I learned that this year, right? I mean, literally this year, I learned that it's, you have to love yourself more than anything else. And that's not saying you're not prioritizing anything in like other things or anything like that, but how hard you work and the things you're trying to achieve, you have to love yourself more.
Yep. Because here's the whole thing, guys. The reason we just went on that, you're like, this has nothing to do with med device sales. It literally has everything to do with med device sales and your career.
Yeah.
Because you will never be able to go to that next level if you don't get to that point. Because I'll sit here and tell you, that's why I sit here and laugh is when I'm beating out all these people who were former professional athletes and all this stuff. And the ego's there and they want to tell me why I suck and all these things. It's like, why have I been able to advance and make way more than they ever will? It's not about the ego portion of it. It's also, I've been willing to do the hard work. And what I mean by that is the hard work is the work on yourself. Most people will never do that and they will overcompensate with cars, money, houses, trips, everything, social media, all the stuff. But when you can get to yourself and you say, I'm good, watch what happens for your life.
I got chills. Literally, it's so true, right? It's like I bought my dream car in December. Great tax write-off, right? One of the reasons why I did it.
Preach it.
But I bought my dream car. Ask me how much I drive that car. I drove my old car here. I drive my old car every single day.
Don't want to put miles on it.
What I thought was going to give me validation. And, you know, it's like you go up to business dinners at these valets, at these steakhouses, and my, you know, Mazda 6 that's got dents all over and, you know, thing beat out the front of the bumper. It's a little embarrassing, right? I roll up now in my dream car. Oh, now this person has some status. It's like, why is that important? Right? Now I bought my dream car in December. I'm literally considering selling it. It just doesn't bring, any, it just doesn't matter.
It's because of the insignificance of what we're trying to prove, all the stuff. There's a lot that it goes into it, but like I'm sitting here, do the same thing, right? And like you always go through it. But that's why you guys, I hope this was such an eye-opening. It's not just only med device sales, but like I've told you guys from the day I started, it's always about just providing value to your life. My whole goal is just so you guys continue to live your dreams, go after the goals you want, go after everything you want, and actually make a difference in your life. So Sarah, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for the episode. Thank you for just sharing and being so open. And it's been amazing to watch your success and can't wait to watch you continue to crush it.
Right back at you.
Thanks
for having me.
Yeah. And if you guys are watching and listening, if you can press that like and subscribe button, a 5-star review helps us grow this channel. If you can share this with somebody that you feel like it would be helpful for, it would mean the absolute world. And like I said, whether it's med device sales or even outside med device sales, we're here just to help you guys have value. If you guys are really interested in breaking into medical device sales, please feel free to reach out to me at Jacob McLaughlin or New to Medical Device Sales, where our average person is breaking in 8.2 weeks at $94,478 currently. You can press the link in below and we can definitely help you out. But I always love chatting with you, see how we can help you. And then the cool thing is with first year in is we also made this for reps that are first year in their industry, but we're helping associates go to full line reps and make over 150 plus when they're coming in as full line reps. We've also helped full line reps go to other full line rep roles to continue to help them. We're all about just giving back and helping you guys grow because you'll get told you can be an associate. It has to be 2 or 3 years. We've helped them do it in 8 months. We've helped associates go from making 60K to over 180K in their first job. So the reason I'm just saying that, if you guys are interested, please feel free to reach out. But I hope you all know, I just continue to love seeing you guys win. I appreciate the love and support, and I will see you on the next one. Until then, keep crushing it and keep hitting quota. Peace.